Theocratic Ministry School Review for November and December. Question 1. Did David treat his captives savagely, as some conclude from 1 Chronicles 20 verse 3? That verse reads, "And he brought out the people who were in it and put them to work at sawing stones and at working with sharp iron instruments and with axes." That was what David did to all the cities of the Ammonites. Finally, David and all the troops returned to Jerusalem. Questions from readers. Did David, a man agreeable to God's own heart, treat his captives savagely, as some conclude from 2 Samuel 12 verse 31 and 1 Chronicles 20 verse 3? No. David merely consigned the Ammonite captives to forced labor. David's actions have been misunderstood because of the way some Bible translations render these verses. Describing the treatment meted out to the Ammonites, those Bible versions portray David as barbaric and cruel. For example, 2 Samuel 12 verse 31, according to the King James Version, reads,
"And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brick kiln. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon."
The account at 1 Chronicles 20 verse 3 is rendered similarly. However, as noted by Bible scholar Samuel Rawls Driver, cruelty is alien to all that we know of the personal character and temper of David. Thus, a comment in the Anchor Bible states, David is setting up work crews of captives for the economic exploitation of the conquered territory, evidently standard practice for victorious kings. Along the same line, Adam Clark comments, the meaning therefore is, he made the people slaves, and employed them in sawing, making iron harrows, or mining and in hewing of wood, and making of brick. Sawing asunder, hacking, chopping, and hewing human beings, have no place in this text, no more than they had in David's conduct towards the Ammonites. Reflecting this more accurate understanding, various modern translations make it clear that David should not be charged with inhumane treatment. By a difference of one letter, the Hebrew text can read, he put them into the saw, or he sawed them in pieces. Moreover, the word for brick kiln can also mean brick mold. Such a mold would be too narrow for anyone to pass through. Note the rendering of the New English Translation, 2003. He removed the people who were in it and made them do hard labor with saws, iron picks, and iron axes, putting them to work at the brick kiln. This was his policy with all the Ammonite cities. He took the city's residents and made them work with saws, iron picks, and axes. David did this to all the cities of the Ammonites. The rendering of the New World Translation is also in keeping with the latest scholarship.
The people that were in it, he brought out that he might put them at sawing stones, and at sharp instruments of iron, and at axes of iron, and he made them serve at brickmaking.
The people that were in it he brought out, and he kept them employed at sawing stones, and at sharp instruments of iron, and at axes. And that was the way David proceeded to do to all the cities of the sons of Ammon.
David did not subject the defeated Ammonites to barbarous torture and gruesome massacres. He did not copy the sadistic and brutal war customs of his day. Question 2. What moved David to show a spirit of generosity, and what will help us to do the same? 1 Chronicles 22 verse 5 says, "And David said, My son Solomon is young and inexperienced, and the house to be built for Jehovah is to be exceedingly magnificent, so that its fame and beauty will be known in all lands. Therefore, I will make preparation for him." So David prepared materials in great quantity before his death. Lessons for us. Although he was not commissioned to build Jehovah's temple, David exhibited a generous spirit. Why? Because he appreciated that all he had acquired was due to Jehovah's goodness. Similar feelings of gratitude should move us to have a spirit of generosity. Question 3. What did David mean when he said to Solomon, "Know the God of your father"? 1 Chronicles 28 verse 9 says, "And you, Solomon my son, know the God of your father and serve him with a complete heart and with a delightful soul, for Jehovah searches through all hearts, and he discerns every inclination of the thoughts. If you search for him, he will let himself be found by you. But if you leave him, he will reject you forever."
He will let himself be found by you. Speaking from his own rich experience in serving God, David begins, "Solomon, my son, Know the God of your father. David must mean something more than having head knowledge. Solomon is already a worshipper of David's God, Jehovah. About a third of the Hebrew Scriptures have been completed, and Solomon is no doubt aware of what these sacred writings say about God. One scholar says that the Hebrew word rendered know can refer to the most intimate acquaintance. Yes, David wants his son to cultivate what David himself has treasured, a close personal relationship with God. David's fatherly advice assures us that Jehovah wants us to become close to him. But to develop that closeness, we need to search for him, digging into the Scriptures in an effort to come to know him intimately. Knowing him should move us to serve him wholeheartedly and willingly. Jehovah desires and deserves nothing less from his worshippers.
Question 4. What did Solomon's request at 2 Chronicles 1 verse 10 reveal about him, and what might we learn by analyzing our personal prayers to Jehovah? 2 Chronicles 1 verses 10 through 12 reads, Give me now wisdom and knowledge to lead this people, for who can possibly judge this great people of yours? Then God said to Solomon, Because this is your heart's desire and you have not asked for wealth, riches, and honor, or for the death of those hating you, nor have you asked for long life, but you have asked for wisdom and knowledge to judge my people over whom I have made you king. Wisdom and knowledge will be given you, but I will also give you wealth and riches and honor such as no kings before you have had, and none after you will have. Lessons for us. Solomon's request showed Jehovah that gaining wisdom and knowledge was close to the king's heart. Our prayers to God indeed reveal what is close to our heart. We are wise to analyze their content. Question 5. According to 2 Chronicles 6 verses 29 and 30, what unique ability does Jehovah possess, and why should we open our heart to him in prayer? 2 Chronicles 6 verses 29 and 30 reads, Whatever prayer, whatever request for favor may be made by any man or by all your people Israel, for each one knows his own plague and his own pain, when they spread out their hands toward this house, then may ye hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, and may ye forgive, and reward each one according to all his ways, for you know his heart. You alone truly know the human heart. Psalms 55 verse 22 reads, Throw your burden on Jehovah, and he will sustain you. Never will he allow the righteous one to fall.
He knows the heart of the sons of mankind. We can draw comfort from Solomon's prayer. Fellow humans may not fully understand our inner feelings, our own plague and our own pain, but Jehovah knows our heart, and he deeply cares about us. Pouring out our heart to him in prayer can make our burdens easier to bear. Says the Bible at 1 Peter 5:7, Throw all your anxiety upon him, because he cares for you.
Question 6. On what basis did Asa pray for victory over an enormous military force, and of what may we be sure in connection with our spiritual warfare? 2 Chronicles 14 verse 11 reads, Asa then called to Jehovah his God and said, O Jehovah, it does not matter to you whether those you help are many, or have no power. Help us, O Jehovah our God, for we are relying on you, and in your name we have come against this crowd. O Jehovah, you are our God. Do not let mortal man prevail against you.
On the battlefield. In view of Asa's record, we should not be surprised that he prayed when confronted with the largest human army mentioned in the Scriptures. Asa knew that God rewards acts of faith. In his prayer, the king pleaded for Jehovah's help. Asa recognized that if he relied on God and had his backing, it did not matter how numerous or powerful the enemy was. Jehovah's name was involved in this conflict, and Asa therefore appealed to God on that basis. The king prayed, Help us, O Jehovah our God, for upon you we do lean, and in your name we have come against this crowd. O Jehovah, you are our God. Do not let mortal man retain strength against you. That was like saying, The Ethiopian invasion is an attack on you, Jehovah. Do not allow your name to be dishonored by permitting weak humans to overthrow those who bear your name. So it was that Jehovah defeated the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians took to flight. Today, Jehovah's people face many powerful opponents. We will not fight them with material weapons on a literal battlefield, yet we can be sure that Jehovah will reward with victory all faithful ones who wage spiritual warfare in His name. Our personal battles may include exertion to resist the pervading spirit of moral laxity, to fight our own weaknesses, or to protect our family from defiling influences. Whatever adversity we face, however, we can find encouragement in Asa's prayer. His victory was Jehovah's victory. It showed what can be expected by all who rely upon God. No human power can withstand Jehovah.
Question 7. How does the way in which Jehovah dealt with King Jehoshaphat's failings assure us of God's love, and how should this affect our view of others? 2 Chronicles 19 verse 3 says, "Nevertheless, there are good things that have been found in you, because you cleared out the sacred poles from the land and you have prepared your heart to search for the true God." How Jehovah assures us of His love. The Bible reveals something else that assures us of Jehovah's love. He looks for and values the good in us. Take, for example, good King Jehoshaphat. When the king committed a foolish act, Jehovah's prophet told him, "For this, there is indignation against you from the person of Jehovah." What a sobering thought! But Jehovah's message did not end there. It went on. "Nevertheless, there are good things that have been found in you." So Jehovah's righteous anger did not blind him to the good things about Jehoshaphat. Is it not reassuring to know that our God looks for the good in us even though we are imperfect?
Jehovah sifts the good from the bad. An even more positive example may be found in good King Jehoshaphat. When the king committed a foolish act, Jehovah's prophet told him, "For this there is indignation against you from the person of Jehovah." What a sobering thought. But Jehovah's message did not end there. It went on. "Nevertheless, there are good things that have been found with you." So Jehovah's righteous anger did not blind him to the good in Jehoshaphat. How unlike imperfect humans! When upset with others, we may tend to become blind to the good in them. And when we sin, the disappointment, shame, and guilt that we feel may blind us to the good in ourselves. Remember, though, that if we repent of our sins and strive hard not to repeat them, Jehovah forgives us.
Question 8. Why and how must we take our position and stand still in our day? 2 Chronicles 20 verse 17 reads, "You will not need to fight this battle. Take your position, stand still, and see the salvation of Jehovah in your behalf. O Judah and Jerusalem, do not be afraid or be terrified. Tomorrow go out against them, and Jehovah will be with you." Lessons for us. To see the salvation of Jehovah, we need to take our position in active support of God's kingdom. Rather than take matters into our own hands, we must stand still, placing our implicit trust in Jehovah. How will God's servants react? Take their position. Without wavering, God's people will continue to hold to their position of active support for God's kingdom. They will continue to maintain their position of Christian neutrality. They will be steadfast, immovable in their loyal service to Jehovah and will continue publicly to praise Jehovah for His loyal love. No present or future pressure can shake them from this divinely approved position. Stand still. Jehovah's servants will not try to save themselves but will place their implicit trust in Jehovah. Only He is capable of rescuing His servants out of world chaos, and He has promised to do so. Trusting in Jehovah will include trusting the modern visible channel that He has clearly been using for decades to serve His purposes. As never before, true Christians will then need to place their confidence in fellow worshippers authorized by Jehovah and His reigning King to take the lead. These faithful men will direct God's people. Ignoring their direction could end in disaster. Question 9. What sobering reminder do we discern in 2 Chronicles 21 verse 20 in connection with the death of Jehoram? 2 Chronicles 21 verse 20 reads, "He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 8 years in Jerusalem. No one regretted it when he died. So they buried him in the city of David, but not in the burial places of the kings." What kind of name do you have? The life course of David and Jehoram illustrates the truthfulness of the Bible proverb, "The memory of the righteous one is due for a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot." Each of us should therefore soberly consider the question, what kind of name am I making with God and with my fellow man? Question 10. According to 2 Chronicles 26 verse 5, who exercised a good influence on young Uzziah, and how can youths today benefit from mature Christians in the congregation? 2 Chronicles 26 verse 5 reads, "And he kept searching for God in the days of Zechariah, who taught him to fear the true God. During the time he was searching for Jehovah, the true God made him prosper." Do you have a spiritual mentor? Not much is known about Zechariah, the advisor to the king, apart from this account in the Bible. Yet, as the instructor in the fear of the true God, Zechariah exercised a fine influence on the young ruler to do what was right. The Expositor's Bible observes that Zechariah was obviously a man versed in sacred learning, rich in spiritual experience, and able to communicate his knowledge. One Bible scholar concluded about Zechariah, "He was well versed in prophecy and was an intelligent, devout, good man, and it seems, had great influence with Uzziah." Do you have someone who might be called an instructor, a mentor, who influences you to search for God? This can be so whether you are young, or past the days of your youth, whether you are male or female. Treasure such a mentor, for his or her admonition can help you to keep doing what is right in Jehovah's eyes. Listen to this mature Christian, and seriously consider the advice he gives. May you never turn aside from the wise words of such an instructor in the fear of the true God.